Hey guys, so let's talk about last night's episode. Overall, it was a good episode. It was nothing like earth-shattering, nothing life-changing or anything like that. It definitely felt a tad bit like filler. Not necessarily filler, but more like they were really kind of setting up what's coming down the line. Now, obviously, kind of like the big news from the last episode is that, Damon uses the sire bond to tell Elena basically to turn it off. Turn off her emotions so that she could deal with the fact that her brother is dead. So as the episode opens, we see Elena laying down in the middle of the street, which of course takes us back to season 1 and takes us back to kind of our introduction of Damon Salvatore. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like Damon. She's doing exactly what Damon did. And so we're kind of seeing where Elena's at, and it is not a good place, people. She is not in a good place. Emotionless Elena was just like, it was a bit much for me. I mean, she was just kind of like crazy. So yeah, Elena's at the point where she doesn't have her emotions on, so she doesn't care about anything or anyone. The one kind of, I think, big thing that we learn in this episode is that because Damon had her turn her emotions off, that means that the sire bond is kind of invalid now. So there is no sire bond anymore, basically. So at one point, everyone's kind of decides, okay, Elena should go to school, and Caroline's gonna go with her, and before she goes, Damon comes to her and tells her, Elena, it would make me very happy if you didn't eat anyone at school. But then, of course, she goes to school and she does eat someone. So that's when they realized, uh-oh, the sire bond doesn't work anymore. I gotta give it up to Nina Dobrev, you guys, because she is fantastic. I was always amazed, when she would play Catherine and Elena, they would be together in a scene and I would seriously believe they were two different people. So to see her kind of bring this different side to Elena was interesting. And it's definitely, what would happen if Elena turned off her emotions. Now, do I like that Elena? Absolutely not. I want the old Elena back. Am I the only one that is there? I want Elena Gilbert to come back. I mean, I know she can't not be a vampire for the moment. I guess we're gonna figure out what happens with this whole cure business, but vampire Elena, I mean, she's either crazy crying emotional mess, or we've got the emotionless biatch, basically, which is what she was in last night's episode. So it's there's gotta be somewhere in the middle that we can find, a good Elena, because this Elena is driving me just a tad batty. And I know I've expressed that before, but hey, you guys, it's just my opinion. I can't help it. So yeah, throughout this episode, basically, we get that they're putting vervain in the water supply in Mystic Falls, which means that all of the people in Mystic Falls are really off limits in terms of feeding because they've all got vervain in their system. So Elena's at school, and she decides to join the cheerleading squad again because there's some sort of cheer competition. So there's all these cheerleaders coming from out of town. So she tries to eat one of the cheerleaders, right, because she doesn't have vervain in her system. So she does that. Caroline realizes what she did, and it's just basically you need to chill. And then, you guys, in their complete, total, awful move, they're doing their cheer, and Caroline's on the top of the pyramid, and they throw her up in the air, and Elena's supposed to help catch her, and she just steps back and watches her fall to the ground. I mean, it was I think I yelled at my TV. I was just like, you biatch! I couldn't believe she did that. It was rude, rude, rude. And not just that, later on in the episode, because they're all trying to, keep tabs on her, making sure she's not, slaughtering people. And at one point she runs off and they go to try to find her. Caroline finds her. There's this, epic fight between the two of them in the woods. And Caroline, while Caroline is stronger because she's an older vampire, Elena's been trained by Alaric. So Elena wins the fight. And she's gonna stake Caroline. She grabs a branch and she goes to actually stake her until the boys show up, until Damon and Stefan show up and they stop her. And I think at that moment, that's when I was just like, okay, we gotta do something about this because I can't have stupid, evil Elena with no emotion killing Caroline. That's gonna drive me insane. That's not gonna be a good thing. I think that's when I realized, okay, Damon's plan for having her turn off her emotion might not necessarily be the best choice. So let's talk about some of the other stuff that went on. Caroline is still calling Tyler, right, and leaving him these messages, and he's obviously listening to them, but he's not responding, which, you don't expect him to do that. But then at the end of the episode, she gets this text from Matt, meet me at Tyler's house. And so she goes, and when she tries to go through the door, she can't get in, right? But Matt's inside, and he's holding this letter, and he tells her, come in. And so she walks in, and I was just like, oh my gosh. So it turns out that Tyler gives the deed to the house to Matt. So he gives the house to Matt, I think in part to kind of keep Caroline safe, because so many people have been invited in, but now that he's given the deed to Matt, it's like Matt's the one who now has to invite people in. So that kind of invalidates everyone else who was allowed to come in before. So really it's kind of like a safe place for her, and it was just like, it was such a touching little thing. And there was a letter from him where he just basically told her, like, I'm always gonna love you. But it was all very final, you know, it was kind of that moment when I think Caroline realized, like, okay, the messages have to stop. And I gotta let him go for now. I don't know why. I think it was the adult in me that at that moment too was just like, who's paying for the bills in that house? Like, is somebody gonna, I mean, cause poor Matt working down at, you know, at the Mystic Grill, I don't think he's got enough money to pay for his house and pay for the light bill at over at Tyler's house. So I don't know why, for some reason that just really concerned me. So one other mystery that they kind of throw into this episode is kind of the case of the missing blood. So throughout this episode, like, we find out that a lot of the different hospitals surrounding Mystic Falls have had all of their blood stolen from the blood bank. So the Mystic Falls Hospital, and then in the end we learn that 6 other hospitals around Mystic Falls have had the same thing happen. It's Stefan who kind of puts 2 and 2 together and decides that it's probably Silas, that Silas probably followed them back from the island. So I'm hoping that means that we're going to be finally meeting the illustrious Silas. The other thing too is that Bonnie was missing in this episode, and they did the thing they always do where, oh, she needs a break, she needs a moment to get herself together, whatever. But the question is, has Bonnie really given up on the whole, like, Silas is going to bring back Jeremy to me type of thing? Or is she going to, like, continue to, like, do that without anyone's help? And is she going to go to Silas basically and get that help? So I don't know. Let's talk about Klaus and Hayley. I feel like I just haven't warmed up to her character at all. And maybe it's just because we've seen just such little snippets of her, and pretty much right off the bat you knew that she was kind of betraying them. And even now it's like, I don't really trust her, I think is really what the problem is. So I don't know, I don't really have much of a feeling about her, I guess is what it is. But in this episode, you know, Klaus, of course, wants to find Catherine because he's always been wanting to find Catherine. But then at the same time, he also knows that Catherine has a cure, and I think he knows that Catherine plans to use it on him so that she can kill him and kind of be free of hiding. Now, in the last episode, we found out that Hayley had been working with Catherine to help her find the cure. So now she's kind of come to Klaus to ask for his help because she knows that Catherine wants to kill her. So Catherine sends out, like, another vampire to kill Hayley, but Klaus is there. He bites this vampire who, of course, is now going to die, and he runs off. And so he brings Hayley home with him. Like, he tells her, look, I'll protect you, but you need to give me the information I need to find Catherine. And so they play this whole little, like, flirty game of dinner, and there's a fire roaring in the fireplace, and let's have a few drinks. Because that's what people do on the Vampire Diaries, is they drink. These are the, like, drinkingest people ever. And, you know, it's just, like, flirting back and forth, and I just wasn't feeling I don't know, I wasn't feeling it. Part of me felt like that whole part of the episode, too, was like a setup for more of what's coming in the originals, you know, the spin-off show, because we both know that Klaus's character, as well as Hayley, are going to be on that show, so it felt like they were setting that up. Eventually, at the end of their evening, of course, the two of them give in to their passions. Whatever. And they do what I like to call the Vampire Diary kissy kissy dance, which is basically like anybody on the show that starts kissing, it's like 2 kisses and then someone takes their shirt off. It's just, it happens, it's just what they do. So that happens with the two of them. They, you know, make love on the table or whatever. And then later in the episode, you know, you see her kind of putting her top back on, and Klaus notices this mark on the back of her shoulder. And he mentions something about having seen that mark before. And obviously we know that, you know, Hayley's big hang-up is she's trying to find her family. And so he mentioned something about some werewolf clan. And so you get that we're probably going to learn more about that in New Orleans when they finally do the kind of originals episode, you know, the episode for the spinoff. So I guess we'll see where that goes. The other kind of little mystery in this episode was this vampire that attacked Hayley. So Klaus bites him. Of course, that means he's gonna die because Klaus is a hybrid. And Damon and Rebecca actually go looking for this vampire because they're hoping that he can lead them to Catherine, because of course they're still trying to find the cure. When they find him, though, it was interesting because immediately as the two see each other, Damon and this guy see each other, you realize that they know each other. And this vampire's name was Will. And in the end, Damon kills him because he says to Rebecca he was too far gone, he was going to die anyway, so he kills him. But I don't know that that was necessarily true, right? Because Rebecca supposedly had a vial of Klaus's blood, which of course would have cured him. And Damon didn't want her to know that he knew this guy. So, like, it was just, he's hiding something, obviously. The big kind of setup for next week's episode is Damon and Elena are in the car at the end of this episode, and they're on their way to New York. But I think he has an agenda. He's going because I think him seeing Will gave him some sort of clue as to where he could find Catherine. So I guess we shall see if that is the truth. So yeah, guys, like I said, good episode, nothing earth-shattering. Felt more like setup, which is really what it was. So here's hoping that good things are coming down the road. Thanks so much for watching, you guys. Don't forget to comment and tell me what you guys think. Am I the only one? Is Elena, are you people loving Elena and I am just missing it? Let me know down in the comment section below. And I will see you guys again soon. Bye.